everyone, welcome back to my channel, Senior Travel Adventures. If you've been watching, you may remember that I was preparing over the past several months to walk the final stage of the Camino Frances in Spain. I just got back from that extended 3-part trip, which began with that feat, and wow, what a journey. This episode will be devoted to that experience. I'll cover Morocco, London, and Antarctica over the next few months. Also, I've written a story that is much longer and detailed on my website if you are interested. The link is on the screen. My Camino journey was amazing. 9 days of walking, 190,000 steps, and more lessons than I expected. But here's what I want you to know right from the start. If you've been putting off that dream trip, that big adventure because you think you're too old, stop it right now, because I'm here to tell you that's when the best adventures can happen. The Camino wasn't on my bucket list. I didn't have some deep spiritual calling, but after hearing about the experience, I just wanted to do it. Something outside my comfort zone. And let me be clear, I'm not a rough it kind of person. I like my comfortable beds, my hot showers, my decent Wi-Fi. But I also wanted to improve myself and do this. So in October 2025, I got on the plane and off I went. Well, the day is here. I am at the airport waiting for my first flight, which is Dallas-Fort Worth. From there I go to Dublin and then on to Santiago de Compostela. From there I will spend the night, and then the next morning I'll be getting up and taking a bus to Sevilla, Spain, where I will actually start my pilgrimage. So I'm so excited and I can't wait to get started. So stay tuned for more. Let's talk about getting there first. 22 hours of travel. Difficult. Fresno to Dallas, Dallas to Dublin to Santiago. By the time I landed in Ireland, I was dreaming of a quiet corner in an airline club, but the wait list was too long. So I went to my gate where I noticed backpacks, hiking boots, that unmistakable pilgrim look. We were all headed to the same place, and suddenly the boredom gave way to excitement. This was really happening. When I arrived in Santiago de Compostela, I did something very unpilgrim-like. I took a taxi instead of the bus. Zero regrets. My hotel, the Hospederia San Martin Pinero, was gorgeous. It was historic, and it felt like monks used to live there, which they did. Dark stone, a bit chilly, but beautiful in that austere Spanish way. And there it was, right outside my hotel, the cathedral, the finish line. I watched people completing their journeys, celebrating, crying, hugging, and although I wasn't sure I wanted to see it ahead, I was glad that I did, because I knew that in a few days, that would be me. I wandered through the town, enjoying every minute. I bought cheap pins for my backpack, and of course, my all-important shell to put on the back of my backpack. I had some wine at an outdoor cafe, and the following day I took the bus to Sevilla, where I would begin my journey. That was eye-opening to travel the countryside knowing that I would be walking that distance shortly. Here is my room in Sevilla, not sure how they pronounce it. No one still has told me. I've got 2 of these lovely twin beds like I had last night, a shelf, and here is the pack. And then I have this great view out here. Buen camino, Altrea. Day 1 started with very little sleep. I was staying next to the elevator, and every pilgrim in Spain seemed to walk by my door wearing medieval armor, or at least that's what it sounded like. But then I hit the trail and everything changed. Within the first few hours, I met Belinda from Australia with her bright red hiking pants. I met Jamie and Laura from Pennsylvania, this amazing couple who got engaged on the Camino. They had started back in France. They just sparkled with joy. Walking with them reminded me that love at any age is really beautiful. I chatted with people from Portland, Georgia, Cape Cod, Los Angeles. Everyone felt like community dropped onto the trail at exactly the right moment. This was the experience I hoped for. And the scenery, well, you can see for yourself. Picture postcard perfect. Farms bustling with life, greenery. Every Everything seemed to wink at me as I passed. My first stop was Casa Morgad, a farmhouse where I would be staying with others that night in the Galician countryside. Could I have gone farther that day? Yes. Should I have? No. I was glad that I was not rushing through this experience like I do with many others. So there was some magic that happened that night. At dinner, I had met some people on the trail and thought I might sit with them, and it became obvious when I got to the dining room that that wasn't their intent. But then I noticed this woman about my age sitting in an adjacent table for two by herself. So boldly, I picked up my menu and went over and said, "Hey, would you mind if I sat with you?" And she said, "Oh no, please do." For a moment, I knew that was the right decision that I made. And just like that, karma stepped in. Terry became one of the highlights of my entire trip. She was from San Clarita, basically a neighbor, a retired nurse walking the entire Camino Frances, not my 115 kilometers, all of the 800 kilometers from Saint-Jean-Pied, France. She was on this trail for over 60 days altogether. We talked about solo travel as women, the vulnerability, the freedom, about being okay with your own company, about sisters who tried to invite themselves on this journey and how we didn't want to hurt their feelings, but we wanted it to be our own. That dinner, that conversation, that connection reminded me why I was there. So let's talk about the reality of the Camino, because Instagram shows you beautiful sunrise photos, and I was fortunate to witness those too, but what it doesn't show you is the rain or the wind or the rain. Day 3, pouring rain, high winds from the moment I stepped outside. The weather app, a chronic liar. It promised zero rain. Instead, I got drenched from start to finish. My pants were soaked, my raincoat almost gave up. My Merrell waterproof trail shoes kept my feet dry. Champions. And the goats. Let me tell you about the goats. They smelled so bad. They deserve their own Yelp review. Yes, pun intended. But here's the thing about the Camino. It challenges you and made these beautiful moments even more meaningful. I saw a full rainbow with both ends visible. I walked through tree-covered paths where wind shook raindrops. And I met people from Finland, London, Bavaria, Toronto, all of us out there walking in the same weather, sharing the same experience. I met Doris from Bavaria, who just turned 60, and she had had back surgery, a self-professed couch potato wanting to prove that she could do this for herself. She was carrying the full pack every day, not like my little 8-pound pack that was already more than enough for me. And you know what? That's okay. Everyone's Camino is their own, completely. And that's the way it should be. I discovered something about myself on the Camino too. I am the Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde of pilgrimages. During the day, I loved it. Rain, heat, sun, didn't matter. I loved walking, the adventure, the beauty, meeting people, seeing countryside that looked like it belonged in a painting. But at night, I needed comfort, a clean room, a decent bed, a bathroom that didn't make me question my life choices. One night I stayed in a place that gave me the serious creeps. That bed might have been comfortable, but I could hear people peeing through the walls. There was a mysterious mechanical sound that came and went in another room. And let's not forget my roommate, a giant spider who should have had his own room and paid his share of the bill. I spent that night checking for bed bugs, dodging a persistent mosquito, and contemplating whether luxury on a pilgrimage made me a bad pilgrim. But here's what I realized: wanting comfort doesn't diminish your purpose. Call me bougie if you want, but I'm not a rough it kind of person. I love nature, walking, exploring, and connecting with people, but at the end of the day, I need a comfortable place to rest. And that's what allows me to be fully present the next day for whatever the trail offers. For me, that's what makes the adventure possible. One of the most beautiful and bittersweet parts of the Camino is the people. I met Kimberly from Australia, an art therapist, and we walked together for hours talking about friendships, aging, loneliness, even politics. We bonded over mutual exacerbation of world headlines. It felt like we had known each other forever. I walked with Darren and Casper from London, brothers. I shared meals with them and Terry. I met Andrea, a pediatric dentist, part of a Notre Dame spiritual leadership group that was doing the pilgrimage. I met college friends from Los Angeles, San Diego, and Kansas traveling together. A couple from Indiana. Here's the thing about Camino friendships. They bloom instantly and intensely. You meet someone, walk together. You might talk for minutes, hours, have deep conversations about life, purpose, pain, and you promise that you're going to stay in touch. But the reality sets in, and that doesn't really happen. And how is it? It's hard to maintain connections just in day-to-day life. Harder than anyone really wants to acknowledge. I keep thinking about this and thought about it a lot on my journey, about making friends as older adults and how difficult it is. We don't have those things that we may have had when we were younger that bonded us to other people, kids, school, work. We have to be more intentional and more persistent in making friends. And maybe I need to try harder. Stop expecting people to do the work and do it myself. This lesson isn't just about the Camino, it's about daily life. So the days went on and they were all wonderful. The final day was just under 10 kilometers to Santiago. And I woke early thinking about Morocco, which was my next destination, thinking about repacking, missing my cat, my bed, but mostly thinking this, it was my last day of the walk. The trail that morning was quiet at first. Gray, cloudy, cool, perfect for walking even though my knee was filing a formal complaint. I'd been managing pain with Tylenol, wearing a knee brace, using both my trekking poles, but nothing was going to stop me from finishing. As I got closer to Santiago, the city suddenly appeared. Overpasses, traffic, people. It was jarring after the peacefulness of the trail, but then magic. I crossed an overpass, kept walking, considered stopping for a coffee. They were beckoning me. I looked at my phone, and when I looked up, there was Terry. We hadn't planned on meeting ahead of finishing, but I thought that I might finish ahead of her and we'd meet. She had left early and walked fast trying to catch up. We ran to each other with big hugs. We walked that final stretch side by side through the busy town toward the cathedral, high on adrenaline. I felt such pride not only in myself but in Terry. I did this for 9 days. She did it for more than 60. It was magic when we heard the bagpiper as we walked down the stairs, and I captured the moment on video and couldn't hold back my emotion. For me, for Terry, for everyone who ever walked this path. We made it. Inside that cathedral, I lit a candle for my late mother-in-law, Dolly, who was deeply religious. It was a tearful, meaningful moment. At the pilgrim's office, I got my Compostela certificate, the official document proving that I'd completed this pilgrimage. I tossed rocks representing my burdens into a fountain, small gestures of completion and reflection. So what did that Camino really teach me? Well, I learned that I could walk 20 kilometers in the rain and wind and still feel alive. I learned that my Merrill trail shoes were champions, my second toes were drama queens, and my knee had very angry opinions. I learned to survive without makeup or curated experiences. I learned to navigate foreign countries and rely on myself. To know myself and accept who I am, what I like, what I don't like. It's no crime to be true to yourself. I learned that sometimes isolation is just part of solo travel, not a personal failing, that walking creates space for thoughts we usually avoid, that sitting in silence with yourself is uncomfortable because it's supposed to be. I learned that sometimes you make plans to sit with people who don't really want your company, and sometimes a stranger at the next table becomes a dear friend you'll treasure for life. The Camino has a way of putting the right people in your path at exactly the right time. I also learned that goats smell terrible, cats appear at perfect moments, and Spanish wine at €3 a glass is one of life's great joys. I learned that comfort isn't shallow, it's what allowed me to show up fully, ready for the next adventure. 9 days, 115 kilometers, 190,000 steps, memories I'll carry forever. So here's what I want you to take away from this show today. You're not too old for adventure. Your knees might complain. Your comfort preferences might be non-negotiable. You might need a good bed and a hot shower at the end of the day. None of that makes you any less of an adventurer. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop putting off that dream trip because you think you should have done it when you were younger. The best time is now, right now. Will it be comfortable every moment? Will you have revelations every day? No, probably not. Will there be rain, pain, and questionable accommodations? Could be, but will it be worth it? Yes. The Camino taught me that adventure doesn't have an age limit. It just requires showing up, putting one foot in front of the other, and being open to wherever that journey might bring. Not a day goes by that I don't think about the Camino, the simple rhythm of waking, walking, breathing, repeating, and it hums inside of me. I miss the quiet beauty, the small surprises, the way each day felt both purposeful and wonderfully uncomplicated. If I could snap my fingers and drop myself right back onto the trail, backpack and all, I'd do it in a heartbeat. In fact, I'm planning a return in 2026 and inviting you to join me. And you know what? You can do it. Buen Camino, friends. Your adventure is waiting. Ultrea. As I finished day 3 in the rain, I arrived at my albergue in Ventus de Noran and rewarded myself with some vino. This dog laid at our door all night to protect us, and in the morning on day 4, I got up to start my journey to Palais del Rey, where I would be spending my next night. Here are some scenes as I ventured through in the rainy countryside. As you can see, it was quite wet. I did stop for some coffee and a crepe, and then continued to my accommodation here in Palais del Rey. We are at the start of day 5 in the town of Palais del Rey. Today I'm headed towards Melide, Spain. It's close to 15K today. You can see there's the directional sign. The signage has been very, very good as I have walked so far, and this has been really a very interesting experience, and I'm excited that I get to share it all with you. And here's a great pilgrim statue. How cool is that? Let me get that one. The pilgrims are celebrating. So I am on day 7 of the Camino. I started about 9 a.m. when the sun came up, but I have only seen a handful of other pilgrims and a small white and orange kitty cat who was very friendly. So we spent a bit of time together, of course. I am having some serious knee issues. Today is supposed to be a 10K day, so I can take it easy. And then I'll have just 10K to go tomorrow to finish at the cathedral, which is a good thing. So anyway, everyone have a great day, and Bon Camino. Thank you for joining me today on Senior Travel Adventures. I hope you enjoyed the discussion of my Camino journey, my deep thoughts, philosophical outlook on age is just a number and adventure is ageless, and enjoyed all the photos that I took. Thank you for watching, and remember, please follow me on Instagram, YouTube, my blog. All of that helps me keep motivated to keep making this content for you and to encourage and empower others to take the trip.